Hi, it's Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and today we are talking about the science behind stress management. So this week we're doing the psychology of success. We're talking about our masterclass, which was on Tuesday, November 18th, where we really went into all of the components that build success. And one of those components is emotional regulation. And so when we are emotionally regulated, we are able to deal with stress in a more refined manner, in a more logical manner. And we have what we call in DBT the wise brain. So we have these intellectuals, and we try to find the wise mind to make our decisions. And really, stress comes from that implicit brain. So that emotional part of your brain, back where the amygdala is, our primitive brain, our lizard brain, our monkey brain, depending on what you call and how you identify it. But that primitive brain is coming in and filtering all of the information. And that's where information comes in first. It needs to know, as an effort to survive, it needs to know, is this a threat? Because the second we get in a stress state, ding, 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 the amygdala opens up. It's running up and down the hallway of every experience that we've ever had. And it's going into doorways and it's hovering. And if you ever have what we call trauma echoes, it's the amygdala hanging out in that doorway and things are coming at it very quickly and it's switching on lights very fast. And so what we're trying to do is manage that. And how we manage that is how we interpret that. If we don't interpret a stimuli as stressful or distressing, then it doesn't go into the primitive brain. It comes into the prefrontal, and we have an executive function that says, does this serve me or not? If it doesn't serve me, then why am I paying attention to it? Next. And if it does serve me, then I say, okay, how does it serve me? What do I want to do with it? And so as we are kind of getting into these stress states, our body is taking over. So a part of that primitive brain is the limbic system, and the limbic system is where our fight or flight response is. And so one of the things that it's happening as the amygdala is scanning is the limbic system is prepping the parasympathetic system. It's trying to gear things up in order to say, like, do I need to get out of here quick? Oh, I don't know what to do. I think I need to play dead. That is a neuro response, and we do see that in animals. We're out there, we're the lion, we're gonna get you. So that fight, flight, or freeze is a very, very real thing, and it's happening immediately because it needs to happen immediately in order for survival. The problem in this neurotic age of ours is that we don't need so much survival. We are in a very stable state for the most part. For most people, we are in a stable state, and so it over engages, causing us to have so much strife and so much miscommunication with people, and so much despair. We're just sitting here in these emotional states, and it's a great example is this election this past week. Is people are having very strong emotions to it. And the reality is that if you are struggling with your emotions now, more than likely somebody came in and messed with your emotions. Probably corporate media came in and told you how to feel connected with your trauma self, and you are stuck now in this emotional place in the primitive brain, and you can't get out of it. This is a very common occurrence. It is a very common occurrence, and realize that this is what is happening. In an effort to survive, you were connecting to every single time that you felt like you didn't have agency, you felt you weren't seen, you felt like you didn't belong, you felt like you didn't have value. All of these times are connecting in that amygdala, and they're bringing them all up, and you are allowing Not your fault, no judgment, no shame in the game, but your past is now occupying your present. And if you don't want it to occupy your present, then you need to take control and find agency over your present, because you always have agency over your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but it is a valid data point that is a quick thing to ground to, so you can find your neutral cycle and find one thing to do to get you started in your positive cycle. And so what we're trying to do is stay as present as we can, so that we're not opening up the emotional brain to go into reactionary spaces, create these perceived realities, and get us into more suffering and despair. And when we cycle in this suffering and despair, in these stress states where we're just trying to survive, then we're going to see inflammation, and that inflammation is going to create chronic health. You have a lot, the parasympathetic is releasing endorphins, it's releasing adrenaline, it's releasing cortisol. Your body doesn't need a lot of that, and it's going to sit there. So, when they talk about the tire around the waist, that is cortisol. That says you have a lot of stress that you need to let go of. If you start to feel bloated, that is the inflammation, because you have stress that you need to let go of. And so somatic therapy is a great way to connect to your body, to your senses, and let go of all of these stressors. I do somatic therapy in my practice. So it is something in the therapeutic practice that we can work on if that's something that you are interested in. But when it comes to our brain, what we're finding is that our brain loves homeostasis. And so when you are in a stress state, then your brain stays in a stress state. And when you are in a calm state, it'll stay in a calm state. And so when we go from high stress situations, technically COVID is a chronic stress situation, and therefore we all have the propensity to have a trauma brain after coming out of COVID. And so what we found is people started what we call chaos seeking. They were used to a stress state, and therefore they wanted to maintain, the brain loves homeostasis, so it wanted to maintain the stress state. Kind of feels a little counterintuitive, doesn't it? But at the end of the day, is once you say, hey, that was just for a short amount of time, we're not trying to do that all the time, and we find our calm state, then we're more likely to keep our brain in a calm state. It doesn't want to keep going back to the stress state. It wants to stay homeostatic. It wants to stay in a place that it is used to, because the more that it is used to, the more that it can predict and make sense of the world, the happier it is. And that's why anxious people love frameworks. They love to know how to engage in a certain way, in a certain aspect, and understand how to occupy that space. It's because we love the predictability in our brain. And so some of the things that we can do to be able to find that calm state and get out of this chronic stress state is just be present. Take some deep breaths. Box breathing is a really great way to be able to find your present state and start finding this homeostasis of calm. When you are aware of what your triggers are, then you can accept them without judgment. There's no shame in the game, and then you can go to action. This is the growth model of change that I use. And one of the things that you can do once you are aware is to preemptively prepare your body. Say, hey, guess what, bud? We're going to go through a stressful time. This is really scary. I don't know if I want to do this, but we have to do it. I'm not going to avoid. It's only going to cause more stress. I know that my armpits may get sweaty. I know that I may stumble on some words. I know that I may have some, pressure on my chest, or I may have like some shortness of breath, and that's okay, because I know that I'm going to be in a stress state. There's no shame in the game. Public speaking is one of the biggest fears out there. So if you are going in front of people and speaking, you're probably going to have a little bit of a fear, and that is okay. We expect it. Look at all the obias out there. It's because we expect to have fear of anything. Some hydrophilic, hydrophobia. We're afraid of water. It's everywhere. But it is a thing, and that's okay. That's why there's no shame in the game. So you prepare yourself, just like athletes will stretch before the big game. They're not just going to go out there and just wing it. They're going to stretch. They're going to prepare. They're going to know, like, hey, I'm about to put my body through stress. I should do something about that. You do the same thing. So box breathing is a really good way of doing that. We're doing 4 counts. 4 counts on the way in, 4 counts on a hold, 4 counts on the way out, 4 counts on a hold. And think of filling a box, right? I like to say square breathing, but fill the box. Fill the box. And really trace those 4 counts as you go through those breathing exercises. Mindful meditation is another way. So once you've controlled your breath, just connect to and find a sense of quiet and be okay with anything that is happening as it is presenting to you. Our goal in life is to be rational, logical, be scientists, come in and look at the world for the data points that it provides and reflect back on the data points. What serves us? What doesn't serve us? What do we engage in based on the information provided and how I feel about it? And if you go onto my blog, you'll see a link in the video description, the algorithm of emotion, and it'll tell you emotional decisions, how to actually create an equation so that you can find how to make emotional decisions, especially if you have a lot of anxiety around that you're going to make the right decision. This equation can help you and understand why it's there. And so we want to find a sense of presence without judgment. And we know that those thoughts are going to come around, but what we're trying to do is just kind of watch them pass through us. And this may only take 15 seconds before we're distracted, and you may be able to build up for 5 minutes or so. But the point is not to be perfect, is to be present. It's not to be productive, it's to be purposeful. So take the time to really engage in that. And a big part of this we go through in the next book when we do emotional regulation. TIP is an acronym. DBT loves their acronyms, and so we give you acronyms for emotional regulation, TIP being one of them. And that is engaging in intense exercise. So temperature, find where you're at, what is your body doing, figure out and connect to your sensations. I is increase activity. So exercise helps us to find agency. Again, chronic stress and trauma creates a phobia between the mind and the body. There's a disconnect there. And so exercise helps us to connect back to our body. It also gives us a sense of agency, one of our universal constructs. I am just spoiling alert. This is all going to be in the new book that's coming out late November, early December. And we're doing 2 success groups, and we're going to talk all about this, especially about the universal constructs. And so definitely check them out. Go onto my website and register. It's going to be a really, really insightful experience. It's a 9-week group. And so what exercise does is it allows you to start regulating your body, to find acceptance without judgment of where your pulse is and where your heart rate is and where breathing is. And then you can choose to activate. So you do a rate of perceived effort, and you can activate it and go into a higher rate of perceived effort, and you can calm it down and you can slow it down so that you are connecting to your mind and body. And that's very, very critical, very, very critical when it comes to stress management. And then sleep optimization. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about sleep and how to get a better night's sleep. So go and look at that. Sleep is critical because sleep, the point of sleep is to have your body recover. And so if you are stressed out and you're not coming down, your body is not recovering. It's in fight, flight, or freeze. It thinks it needs to do something. And that's where the inflammation gets worse. And that's where the chronic health conditions come in, is because we're not calming ourselves down. We're not spending that time to decompress after the day. You should be stretching before and after you exercise, and you want to stretch before and after you go to sleep. So before you go to sleep, you have a nighttime routine that decompresses you. It calms your mind down. It allows you to accept your day for what it was and how it served you and find some gratitude in that day. You go to sleep, you recover, and you wake up and you invigorate yourself. You set yourself and ground yourself. You set an intention for the day and hoping to achieve it as you go through that day. And then nutrition and stress. So when we're stressed out is the first time that we start to make avoidant and justified decisions to stay in a negative cycle. And so we say, oh, I'm really stressed out. I work late today. Let me just go pick something up really quick. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. I didn't have time to go run today. I was just too stressed out. It was too much going on. And what we're doing is we're implicitly devaluing ourselves. We're creating low motivation to do better and actually do the positive cycle. And we're creating a lack of capacity. We don't think we're going to be able to do it. So we're really compounding the negative cycle very quickly by making just these quick choices to not exercise, to eat fast food, to eat takeout, to not eat a healthy option. And when it comes to your values and success, what you're wanting to do is you want to emulate your best day. And so how you do that is you look at and connect with, okay, what is my best day? Well, I want to be at a healthy BMI. I want to be active. I want to have work-life balance. I don't want to just sit here and work. I want to do something fun. Like these people who do all these things. I want to do something fun. I want to travel. I want to be able to not feel like I have to work. I want to be able to have no debt. Like these are the goals that people have when they emulate or think about having a successful life. And so you're trying to do one thing a day that would emulate what that successful life would look like. So if you're trying to pay off debt, then you're not accruing more debt that day. If you're trying to have a healthy BMI, then you're being very mindful on the choices that you make. And that doesn't mean that you restrict or binge. It means that you are mindful. So if you normally have 3 glasses of wine when you're going out with your friends, and you're not saying, I'm not drinking, I'm trying to lose weight. You're saying, you know what, like 3 glasses is sometimes a little bit excessive. I think if I only had 1 glass, I still would have fun. I would have a glass of water so that I'm still drinking something, so I don't feel like I'm not drinking. I'm just adding water into it, and that will make me feel full so I don't have to finish that glass so quickly. And then I don't feel like I'm drinking too much. I feel like I feel better in the day. And then you start seeing the positive consequences that come because you did one thing to mindfully emulate what it is you want for your successful future. And routines are perfect for this because it allows you again to find dedication and intention as you atomically create these habits throughout your day. So find what your habitual patterns are and then start stacking on them as you move closer and closer to that idealized day. That's what I have for you. This is all really great stuff. We're going to be covering it in all 3 of the key steps to live a happier and healthier life workbooks. So go out and get them. You can do them on your own. And I'm also running success groups so that we're going through them as a group, looking at being able to digest the information through a common thread. So I've got Mondays are young professional women and Tuesdays are men kind of growing up through separation or divorce or major breakups. So if these are things that you would like to be a part of, then just message me, drop a comment below that says I'm interested. I am here to support you. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you so much. Hi, it's Jennifer Evans. I hope you are liking my videos. If you do, please comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. If there's topics that you're just dying to know about, and why do I do this and why do they do that? I would love to answer them. I do come from a cognitive behavioral background, but as we see in some of my videos, I love object relations. I love attachment theory. I love Erickson and his psychosocial developmental theories. So I do pull from a lot of different places in order to kind of build out that our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, something triggers it, and there's always a consequence after it. And that is the beauty of life and why we have a lot more control over our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors than we give ourselves credit for. This is a huge passion of mine, a calling, if you will. And I am here to support you. I've written 2 books, and I've got, the goal is 3 a year. So I've got several that are coming out in different, on different topics. But what we have right now, and you can go click on the Amazon link in the video descriptions below, but we have Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain. This is going to go and teach you everything you need to know about your negative narrative. So if you feel like life is hard and it just feels like you don't understand people or you don't understand why somebody you love keeps making the dumbest mistakes and decisions, what is their problem? They have bad brain. Go read about it. Find some empathy. Find some grace, because that is just them recapitulating their past. And we do it for ourselves and other people do it to us. And so when we know what they're doing, it makes it feel a lot less annoying and a lot more like we have agency over those experiences. So Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain. I also just released, and I'm very excited, is Key Steps to Living a Happier and Healthier Life. This is a workbook that is going to help you define what your values are, what success is for you, and what your vision of success, and it is going to go through everything that stresses us out and makes us live in suffering and despair, allow that bad brain to get involved, and instead of living in the present. So this will go through all the main things: building a work-life balance, being able to be good enough, finding radical acceptance, decision making, which who would have thought that that was something, but it really breaks everything down that prevents you from living a happier and healthier life, and then allowing you to challenge those thoughts so that you can. So these are the key skills. So in my practice, I take the ABC model from Albert Ellis, through CBT, and I kind of open it up to this kind of overarching trajectory. And so we have awareness, acceptance, action. So the 3 A's of my treatment, support with others, whether that's coaching or in therapy, through my books, and I have success groups as well. So I've got a lot of supports, and I use the same model. And that is, we need to build awareness about kind of why we do the things we do. We accept it. We don't agree, but we accept, okay, this is kind of my trajectory. I can see how it all comes together. I see trending patterns. I see how I act the same way. Actually, I get frustrated, but yet I'm acting the same exact ways because it is predictable, because that's my brain. It's bad brain working. It's a really good book. And so then we have action. And so I teach you lots and lots of ways to understand what the brain is doing and how to counter, how to challenge, counter, and do opposite actions. And so we have lots and lots of ways. The Bad Brain book has tons of ways in which we do that. And then the workbook has ways to start reflecting. We have exercises, activities, and journal prompts. And this book will actually, Key Steps to Living a Happier and Healthier Life, will follow my success group. So it is a 6-month success group. We break it down into 9 weeks. This is part 1, is living a happier and healthier life. Then we're going to have, we also have a part 2 section and a part 3. So you can come in at each of those sections, and it will have a continuous flow. Part 2 is our emotional regulation. So we're really looking at the relationship we have with ourselves and how the bad brain comes in and makes us reactionary and how to calm and be more action oriented. Part 3 is interpersonal skills. How do you relate with others? How do you make yourself available? The key to life is you can't control the outcomes. You got to put all those processes out there. How do you put yourself out in that process to help others and to let others help you? That is section 3. We do have a subscription program, so accountability is everything, and it is in my first part of this workbook. So you can sign up, go to my website, counselingwellnesssolutions.com. It is in the description, and check out all of these great programs that I have set up to help everybody live a happier and healthier life no matter where your state of change. Thank you so much. Please like and share my videos. I would appreciate it. Thank you.